Welcome to the second mid-season update. As before, we'll go over all 9 teams and what they've been up to in the recent races, as well as what to look forward to further down the line. So the 4 most recent races, we had Ghent-Wevelgem, the Tour of Flanders, Paris-Roubaix, and the stage race Tirreno-Adriatico. So let's go ahead and get to the leaderboard. The top 3 teams are unchanged, starting with La Vie Claire with 5,368 points. They had a great stretch in the recent races. Bianchi Campagnolo still in second and not far behind, 5,069 points. Fiat still in third but losing a bit of ground with 4,323 points. Kelme up 2 spots into fourth with 4,130 points. Evian up to fifth with 4,108 points. Blackberry down 1 spot to 6th with 3,619 points. Zulu Kingdom, they had a tough stretch, they're down 3 places to 7th with 3,535 points. Ceramica still in 8th with 2,087 points, and Adidas still last, but catching up a little bit. They have 1,998 points. So Kelme and Evian getting some momentum on the leaderboard, while Zulu Kingdom floundering just a little bit. So let's start with La Vie Claire in first place. They've won 3 times since the last update. Andre Dargod won Ghent-Wevelgem in the sprint. Cyril Guimard won stage 1 of Tirreno-Adriatico. He also led that race overall for 2 stages. And of course the huge upset in Paris-Roubaix where Jerry Kniedemann won that messy reduced sprint of 10 riders, scoring a huge 700 points for the team. So big results in the classics. They had riders up amongst it the whole way, maintaining their pace in first place. In Tirreno-Adriatico, they had aspirations for the general classification with Cyril Guimard. He looked good in the first 2 stages, but things fell apart in stages 4 and 5 in the hills. So another case of La Vie Claire floundering the general classification challenge in a stage race. But nonetheless, they're tied with the most total victories with 5 over the course of the season. They also have 5 of the top 20 scores, so plenty of bright spots for the team. In the hilly Ardennes Classics upcoming, Cyril Guimard should be the big leader for the team and the top contender for a couple of those races. Also, Gösta Petersen will be back in the Tour of Switzerland, and that course very well suited for him. Be surprised to see him not finish in the top 5 of that. So they still look like title favorites. They might not have quite as much explosive potential in the next leg of the season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're still up here by the next update. In second place, we have Bianchi Campagnolo of Spencer's team. They've won 1 race since the last update, that was Gianluca Bortolami winning the Tour of Flanders. He attacked from an elite group late in the race and soloed to victory. They kept pace with La Vie Claire over this recent stretch of the season. They had top 4 finishes in each of the 3 recent classics. Bortolami had 2 of those, and Learco Guerra was also 4th in Ghent-Wevelgem. Henny Kuiper looked great in support of Bortolami in all those races, so the Classics team took care of business in the early part of the season. In Tirreno-Adriatico is the first time seeing Stan Åkers up amongst the leaders. He finished 3rd overall in that race. Bianchi will go into the Ardennes with plenty of options. They have 4 capable riders with Stan Åkers, Pascal Richard, Henny Kuiper, and Gianluca Bortolami. So they'll have arguably the strongest team for those races, and they should score some big points. So a chance to overtake La Vie Claire in the 3 hilly classics. Watch out for Åkers and Pascal Richard in particular. In the Tour of Switzerland, Åkers will also be the team leader for that. We'll see how he hangs with the best climbers in the big mountains. They do need to outperform La Vie Claire in the Ardennes Classics, I think, and they have the firepower to do so, but Cyril Guimard, being the talented sprinter he is, with his all-round ability, could be a big threat to spoil that. So we'll see a great battle between those teams in those 3 classics. On to Fiat in 3rd place overall. They did not win since the last update, but they finished 2nd place twice in 2 of the classics. Frederic Moncassin was 2nd in Ghent-Wevelgem. George Hincapie also 2nd in Paris-Roubaix after doing a lot of attacking in that race. So top 3 finishes in all 3 of those classics. They also won the King of the Mountains jersey in Tirreno-Adriatico. George Hincapie gotten a whole lot of breakaways, securing that by a huge margin of victory. Although Fiat was reasonably successful, it's worth wondering if they've hit their ceiling this season. The Cobble Classics are behind us, hardly a flat road between here and the next update, so they could slip down a few places in the standings. Jan Ross is a potential winner of the Amstel Gold Race just based on the course, but outside of that, their scoring potential looks very low over the next 4 races. The Tour de Suisse in particular not friendly to sprinters, and the team not sprinting well anyway this season, so I'd expect them to be out of the top 3 the next time we have another update. Next up is Kelme in 4th place. They've been trending up recently. They had 0 wins since the last update, but very productive nonetheless. Their best result is Vyacheslav Ekimov finishing 2nd in the Tour of Flanders. A huge team performance in that race sent Kelme way up the leaderboard. Rudy Altig was also 5th in that race, and Rudy Donens finishing 6th. Rudy Altig starting to come alive, he was 5th in both Flanders and Roubaix. Rudy Donens an unsung hero in the team's classic success as well. So those 3 riders producing a lot for the team, manager very pleased with that. In Tirreno Adriatico, Frank Schleck finished 6th overall. He's pretty much there as a 2nd tier contender throughout that race. Schleck and Altig will lead the squad in the Ardennes Classics. I don't see either of them winning one of those, but they are outside contenders, and I expect them to score reasonably well in those races. Bjarne Riis will be back in the Tour of Switzerland in a big opportunity to win another stage race. Frank Schleck will be there to support him as well. So Kelme have some potential to score some big points and possibly overtake Fiat for 3rd place. The trend is definitely up. In 5th place, another ascending team is Evian, who won twice since the last update. Choman Peruena won 2 stages of Tirreno Adriatico and finished 2nd overall in that race. In the Classics, Gilbert Duclos-Lazao and Marc Madio failed to score a huge result for the team, but the rest of the team and the other races certainly made up for it. Jean-Pierre Donguillaume had a surprising 3rd place in Ghent-Wevelgem, launching several attacks and taking advantage of a messy sprint to get up in 3rd. Evian had 3 riders in the final top 10 of Tirreno Adriatico, with of course Peruena being the star among them. But Marc Madio and Jan Adriaansens also up there in the GC, and they ended up winning the team classification as well. They'll have a big chance for Classics redemption in the Ardennes. Choman Peruena, Marc Madio, and Andy Schleck will all be there. Very strong riders in these hilly races, so expecting big things from Evian there. Andy Schleck also a top contender for the Tour de Suisse. Be very surprised to see him not in the top 3 overall in that race. And Evian bringing a very strong team. Choman Peruena will also be there. Evian, they did keep pace with the top 2 teams in the 4 recent races, so a breakthrough could be in store with them entering their favorite terrain in the next 4 races. Next we have Blackberry in 6th place, so actually moving down a spot, but still looking pretty impressive after a massive Tirreno Adriatico. They won 3 times since the last update, all by Julien Alaphilippe. He won 2 stages of Tirreno Adriatico and won the race overall. So it's been all about the swashbuckling Frenchman. He was also 7th in Paris-Roubaix, so another good chunk of points for him, and he's now the 3rd highest scoring rider. Once again, big opportunity for the team to score points in the Ardennes Classics, because Alaphilippe will be a huge favorite for all 3 of them. So if he can score around 1,500 points, Blackberry could ascend right up into the top 3 of the team standings. For the rest of the team, stage race specialist Tommy Prim and Henri Onglade will be at the Ardennes Classics and in the Tour of Switzerland, so could get some results of their own. Blackberry still very much in contention for a high finish by the end of the season, but it all is going to ride on Julien Alaphilippe. In 7th place, you have Zulu Kingdom, the big loser from the recent races. They went down from 4th to 7th. 0 wins since the last update, their best result being Eddie Plancart getting 3rd in Paris-Roubaix. Plancart was in great position to win that race, but launched his sprint a bit too early and ended up coming up short. Their top sprinter, Jamaldine Abdijaparov, didn't really get much done in these races outside of 5th place in Ghent-Wevelgem, but Tirreno Adriatico, the sprint's not going their way. Their top climber, Gert-Jan Tennisse, showing some flashes in Tirreno Adriatico. He looked stronger each day, but unfortunately he lost time early in the race and only finished 9th overall. The team is lacking contenders for the Ardennes races unless you count Gert-Jan Teunissen, which I'm not inclined to. However, Teunissen and Jan Ullrich will be in the Tour of Switzerland, and they have the potential to be up there in the general classification, but I don't think either will find themselves in the top 5 overall. So the team is trending down and the next 4 races don't really look great, so we'll see if they can limit the damage and come back stronger in the last part of the season. In 8th place, it's Ceramikas with 2 wins since the last update. Mario Cipollini won 2 stages of Tirreno Adriatico, showing why he's the fastest sprinter in the peloton. His lead-out man Dmitry Konishev, spectacular in Tirreno Adriatico, leading Cipo out in perfect position both times, so great teamwork by Ceramikas. Their climber Pedro Delgado got 4th place in GC. The Cabo Classics were a big team weakness and they scored no points in those 3 races, allowing Adidas behind them to catch up, but the trend should be up from here. Konishev and Delgado, both outsiders in the Ardennes Classics, although Konishev could be a bit of a sneaky bet to win the Amstel Gold Race. It's really a Tour of Switzerland where Ceramikas could take over. They have the potential to dominate that race with Pedro Delgado and their other climber Andrew Hampston. Ceramikas need to win that race overall with one of those riders and have both riders high up in GC. It's certainly possible and they'll be fun to watch in that race. In last place, amongst the non-AI teams, it's Adidas. They have not won since the last update. The best result was Philippe Gilbert getting 5th overall in Tirreno Adriatico. Jan Kirsipuu also finished 2nd in the stage in that race. The team did gain ground on Ceramikas, but not enough to move out of last place. They could have performed better in the classics. Ghent-Wevelgem and Paris-Roubaix especially were a bit disappointing. Kirsipuu and Pelissier probably could have gotten better results than what they ended up doing. They were okay in Tirreno Adriatico with 2 riders in the final top 10. Philippe Gilbert of course was 5th and Marco Pantani finishing 8th overall. Philippe Gilbert will be co-favorites with Julien Alaphilippe for the 3 Ardennes Classics, so now is the time for him to produce, and Gilbert certainly could win at least one of those races. Meanwhile, their climber Pantani could feast on a mountainous course in the Tour of Switzerland. Wouldn't be surprised if he won that race overall as well. So both Gilbert and Pantani are into their favorite terrain. They both have opportunities to win. So the battle for last place between Ceramikas and Adidas is really going to heat up, both teams looking for some results in the next few races. So that's it for the team reports. Looking ahead, first it's the Amstel Gold Race, a hilly classic that's undulating throughout but not too demanding in the finale. So some of the puncher/sprinter hybrids should win that race. Don't imagine a huge selection being made at the end. Next, the Flèche Wallonne, a race for the pure punchers, a very steep finale with the Mur de Huy, so it's an uphill sprint finish, not unlike the ones in Tirreno Adriatico. Then Liège-Bastogne-Liège, a prestigious and demanding hilly race with a flat finish. Race is usually won from a small group sprint, so the puncher should shine, but sometimes an outsider figures amongst the action and could pull off an upset. And then there's the Tour de Suisse, our 3rd stage race of the season. A mountainous race with 2 time trials. There's a flat time trial on the first stage and a mountainous one later in the race. The climbers and punchers will rejoice looking at this course, and the sprinters likely to suffer big time. So the race for positions on the leaderboard really starting to turn up. The title chase battle between Laviclet and Bianchi intensifying. Kelme and Evian ascending the leaderboard, and Ceramikas and Adidas trying not to finish in last place. So a lot of storylines to watch in the next 4 races. We'll keep you in touch with all of those. We'll see you next time for the Amstel Gold Race.